Hello friends, Tanya here for Spellbinders, and today we're going to play with the Stylish Ovals collection. I have the Stylish Oval Floral Bird Glimmer plate here. It is one large plate that coordinates with the Stylish Ovals. I'm going to adhere this to, or secure this to a piece of Hammermill cardstock. You could use the Spellbinders specialty cardstock, but I like the way Copic colors act on the Hammermill better. Just depends on what technique you're trying to use with your glimmer foiling. Sometimes you just need to go with what works with the other mediums you're going to be using. So I used some gold or polished brass, probably polished brass foil here to foil my image, and I'm using some Copic markers in a variety of colors to fill in the images on this foiled panel. The colors on this bird aren't part of any bird that I know of in nature, but pure fantasy. I love the way these different colors blend together, and I've actually used these blues and purples together on like mermaid images, other fantasy images, but I think they look gorgeous on this bird. I'm not being very careful. I am just blending these colors across our bird to create this lovely spring collection of colors. I would love to see a bird in these colors, but I doubt that's going to happen. I know they are very colorful in many ways, but this seems a little beyond the natural order of things. It is finally starting to be spring here in northern Minnesota. I can see 90% of my yard. The rest of it is still covered with a little bit of snow, despite the fact that it's 70 degrees out today. That's amazing. We haven't hit 70 yet. This is the first day that I know of that we got this warm, and it is May 3rd. So exciting to start seeing spring arrive. This has been a very long winter. I'm adding some greens to the to the foliage on this image, and this actually doesn't take very long to color up, and you could use a whole lot of different colors. I think this would be beautiful on an ink blended background, and you just have the foiling over it. It would also look great just on a solid color of cardstock with maybe white or gold colored foiling. I am going to do some ink blending on our different flowers here, but I'm not going to get too in depth. I'm only choosing a couple of colors to color all of the flowers here. These flowers look a little bit like morning glories or a whole lot of other wildflowers that you might see growing in your yard. And you could go really all out with all kinds of different colors on each of these different blossoms. They are big enough to do some pretty extensive color blending and use lots of different shades, or you can be super simple. That's what I love about glimmer foiling. It is special enough all on its own that you don't have to do other things with it to have a great impact. Now, this colored panel is going to go on a large 5x7 card, and I just didn't know when to quit. I just keep adding more colors, even though I'm trying to keep this fairly simple. This feather is going to have both the blues and the purples, or the aquas and the lavender together. I'm using all 4 of the markers that I used in the bird for those 2 colors. Throwing in some more dots, kind of berry-like in their appearance, and then we're going to color the branch that the bird is sitting on. Just a couple of E30s, I think it's E33 and E35 here. I honestly don't remember what all of the other Copic markers are on, but I encourage you to just grab. Here we have the Essential Stylish Ovals. This is a layering die set, or a nesting die set. There are all kinds of oval sizes in here, and I love that it matches perfectly with the rest of that collection. All right, the next step we're using is the Distress Mica Spray Stain. This is Wicked Elixir, and I am spraying this over a light green cardstock. The next color I'm using is Decayed, and both of those don't sound very springy, but they sure look springy in the end. I have the Infinity Punch and Pierce die set, or die, cover plate. It's an A2 size cover plate, and it die cuts 3 pieces, and it coordinates perfectly with the stylish ovals, the essential stylish ovals. It will die cut. You can use the stylish ovals to die cut pieces that will coordinate with this die. I'm adhering this A2 size panel to a piece of Portobello cardstock, and I'm adhering the ovals that are all the same size together here, and we're going to glue these in an lined up with the left edge of this cardstock. The craft colored cardstock I'm using here is 4 1/4 by 6 1/4 inches, because an A2 size panel is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and that's what size this the Infinity Punch and Pierce plate die cuts this cardstock out to. And I want to make, of course, another 5 by 7 card. So we'll adhere this oval inside this center piece so that everything is flush. And when I adhere the bird portion, it will be a little raised, which is the effect I'm going for. I have my 5 by 7 card base here, which is 10 inches by 7 inches, scored by at 5 inches and creased well. Then I have this, I believe this is a 4 1/2, no, this must be 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. No, I bet it is 4 1/2 by 4 1/2, 6 1/2 inches. And I've lined that up with the fold. And then I took the next piece and lined that up again with the fold. And we have some uneven matting, but that's okay. That's kind of the look I was going for. We're going to add our bird in the center here, right over the top of the oval that is cut out. And we have a slightly raised main image. And I had to be careful because since that scrap piece had been foiled on, there's that Portobello cardstock that I'm going to use. And that is a Spellbinders cardstock. It's a craft color. There are more than one craft colored cardstocks from Spellbinders. I took a older Glimmer foil and die set, and I think I let you see what that was. I will have it linked in the description box below. It came out last year in the Everybody Dance collection, I believe it was called. There's Father's and Mother's Day themed things in that, both in stamps and dies and Glimmer foils. So we're going to center this in an area that I don't mind covering. And we'll add a little extra cardstock behind that to make sure that it is nice and even across our card front, because it's going to hang over the edge here a little bit. I'll just let that glue adhere well and make sure that I center it beautifully. Next, we're going to take some glittery gems, rhinestones, not really, embellishments. And these come in 2 sizes, a large and a small, in this container, and we're going to adhere those around on our foiled panel. I'm choosing to put these over the smallest berry areas and in some other spots to help keep this feeling rather balanced. I like the look that this shiny bauble adds to the front of the card and really doesn't compete with the rest of the gorgeousness of this card. I love the shimmer from the mica spray stain, and I think that's where the color for the bauble that I chose came from. We have another piece from the Infinity Punch and Pierce die set here, and I'm going to adhere that to the inside of our card, and again bringing the style of the front of the card to the inside of our card. And we're going to go sideways with this instead of up and down. I also dug out a stamp set from my stash. This is one of the Simon Says stamp monthly kits. This was the Beautiful Mother stamp set from last year, I think. It's been in my stash and I haven't used it, and I have it in my Mother's Day section. So let's play. I'm going to stamp that the sentiment on the inside with some, I think that's wheat ink from Concord and Ninth. And then we'll take the VersaFine Claire, is that pine cone or acorn? It's one of the browns. It's probably the warm brown, and I think that's the acorn. stamping the rest of the sentiment here. It's a long, beautiful sentiment on the inside of our card. And that completes card number 1. Card number 2, we're going to use the Stylish Oval Hello You Floral die set. Lots of components here to layer up a beautiful flower. I've die cut all of these elements with some green cardstock, some blue cardstock that I spritzed with some, I think that's Snow Flurry Distress mica stain. Again, on a kick with the mixed media. Sometimes I just can't resist getting back into the mixed media. And maybe you all love the mixed media too. I sure hope so, because you're going to get lots of it from me. The flower stems, or the leaf stems, have layering components also. There are leaves that fit over the top of the leaf on the stem, and they all have extra details on them. And I love that this creates extra texture and depth, and you could use different colors too. Here we have one of the flowers, one of the layering elements. We've got a 5-petal flower here. I'm adding a center, and it has an extra layer that adds extra detail and extra depth. I used what's it called? Brushed gold and mirror gold cardstock to do the centers. Here I have the 2-piece flower that creates a little more full of a flower, and it also uses the same center, the same size. No, this is a larger size, I think. Maybe this is a larger size. Just layering those up, and you can see how that one little piece lines up with a notch in the flower center solid piece. This turns into a really beautiful stem full of flowers. Here we have a bell-shaped flower. There is a piece that is kind of the inside of the throat of the flower, and then a little stamen center piece that you can add to the center also. These are really pretty and delicate, and you can add these as great little fillers throughout your floral bouquet. You can create all kinds of different bouquets with this stem. There's no specific flower that goes in any specific spot. Next, I'm pulling out the tufted 3D embossing folder. This is not one of the club ones. This is one that is available all the time. We are making a 6.5 by 3.5 inch card base here, and I have cut this down after I embossed it to the size I wanted. So I want this to have a little bit of a matting, so this must be 3.25 by 6.25 inches. And I decided on the size of this by the size of the finished stem. We're going to take this Essential Stylish Ovals die and find one that coordinates with the last piece of the Infinity Punch and Pierce plates that we had not used. I'm going to use the same blue that I used for the flower petals and back this beautiful Punch and Pierce portion so that the blue shines through the holes. I think that just looks so pretty. This is going to sort of be our flower pot for this stem of flowers. We're going to get the placement figured out before we start adhering things. I want to make sure that everything's going to fit. So we're doing a little dry fit here to make sure everything will make it onto the card front the way I intend to have them on here. So now that I have it figured out, I'm going to pick up this stem of leaves, add some glue, some Barely Art Precision glue to the back of that, and adhere it, making sure that we have all of the leaves inside the boundaries of our card. And I'll add an extra heavyweight block behind that, or on top of it, to make sure that everything adheres to that deeply etched, embossed background. I did put a little extra cardstock behind the element that I just added, and I also added extra cardstock behind the tufted panel before I adhered it to the card base. Now we're going to add each of these cute little flowers, and there is an extra stem included in the die that cuts out the leaves and stems. So you can add that and add some extra flowers wherever you would like. I'm adding these bell-shaped flowers in just a grouping of 2 here. And then we'll add our smaller 5-petal blooms on each of these dots that are perfect placement, or the perfect place to add extra or add your flowers on the stem and leaves. I love it when they add these circles on the ends of things to give you a clue of where you should put your elements, and it gives you a little extra room to adhere them. Inside, we're going to add another of the smaller blooms and 2 of the little bell-shaped flowers to finish this off and bring your design to the inside. All of these layers actually still don't make this difficult to close, and I've been doing this more and more, and I really enjoy the look. We're going to add a sentiment to this. We're going to use the Everyday Sentiments dies. These are from Simon Hurley. I believe they came out a couple months ago. I did purchase these myself. I absolutely love them and will be using them frequently. I die cut the detail image portion from some mirror gold cardstock, and the shadow I die cut from some vellum. I also die cut the detailed portion from some scrap cardstock, and I'm going to adhere that to the back of our layered element here so that it has a little extra height, and it will help me hide the adhesive when I glue it to our card front also, because I can add the adhesive on the cardstock and it won't be as tempted to slide behind the vellum and show through to the front. Just adding little dabs of glue here, and then we'll glue that to our little flower pot. Just going to make sure that's centered using the punch and pierce details to help me with that and to keep it nice and straight. So pretty. Those are my 2 cards using the Stylish Oval Collection. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Leave me a comment. Tell me what you enjoyed most about this video. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, now is a great time to do that. And if you're interested in any of the supplies that I used today, please check that description box below. They will be listed and linked as always. Until next time, here are a couple more videos I thought you might enjoy. Bye-bye.